The championship years of Penn State. Its mere mention conjures up memories of the most exciting seasons in Nittany Lion football history. This is the story of those great teams. Who were the key players? What were the stepping stones that led to the ultimate prize? This is also the story of a coach who brought a philosophy to Penn State. A philosophy that became the foundation of one of the most respected football programs in America. This is a story of pride, challenge, accomplishment. It is the story of the satisfaction and exhilaration of the championship years. In 1980, Penn State fans were hungry for a national championship. They had witnessed undefeated seasons in the 1960s and 70s. They had watched Penn State teams come close, but it never seemed to happen. When Joe Paterno became Penn State's 14th head coach in 1966, he introduced a concept he called the Grand Experiment. He stressed academics, and he believed that his players should enjoy the total college experience. He structured his teams around a strong, quick defense and an error-free ball control offense. His teams had risen through the ranks from Eastern power to national contender. They had paid their dues. Now their resolve, dedication, and hard work was about to bring rewards. And Penn State fans everywhere couldn't wait. In 1980, some vital pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. A turbocharged sophomore from the small town of Wyoming, West Virginia, appeared ready to pound out a place among the Lions' all-time great runners. Highly recruited out of high school, Kurt Warner said he liked the quiet and serene atmosphere at State College. He had been All-State in football, basketball, and baseball for 2 years. The Philadelphia Phillies had tried to sign him before graduation, but his heart was set on getting an education, and his dreams were focused on a national championship. By the fourth game of the 1980 season, Warner was joined in the backfield by a redshirt freshman quarterback named Todd Blackledge. Making his first start in the Missouri game, Blackledge, after beating out Jeff Hostetler, responded by running for 2 touchdowns and throwing for 1. Penn State had its quarterback for the next 3 years. Another freshman who would add excitement to the championship years was Kenny Jackson. With number 82 on the receiving end of a Blackledge bomb, the Lions' aerial game gave them the balance so necessary in big-time college football. With Jackson, it was first and goal from anywhere on the field. Pointing an eye toward the future, Paterno crafted his defense around young players like Walker Lee Ashley, number 37, and Roger Jackson, number 49, both from New Jersey. Harry Hamilton, number 17, out of Wilkes-Barre, and Mark Robinson, number 32, from Maryland. They established an identity as the pulse of what would become a championship defense. This season of building, of finding the right spots for the right people, concluded with a one-sided triumph over Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. The 1980 Lions finished 10-2, and the climb to the summit had begun. The toughest schedule in college football greeted this maturing squad in 1981. They had added regular season games with Alabama and Notre Dame, which Paterno said opened a new era of Penn State football. The opportunity to play and beat the best. Blackledge and Jackson began to know each other's every move. Warner became a runaway train, dazzling defenses much the same as former Lions Charlie Pittman, Lydell Mitchell, and John Cappelletti. The punishing defense added confidence with every hit. In the 1981 season final, the Lions roared into Pittsburgh and simply separated the Panthers from their #1 spot in the national polls. 48 points, a couple of Blackledge-Jackson specials. And needless to say, the Pitt Panthers were upset. A second consecutive Fiesta Bowl, and the blue and white defense initiated a tradition of handcuffing Heisman Trophy winners. This time it was Marcus Allen. A 26-10 triumph over Southern Cal elevated the powerful Lions to a #3 final ranking. Joe Paterno knew his master plan was working, and the 1982 could take them to the next level, coming off the tremendous achievements of this 1981 squad.
They worked awfully hard. They had great leadership. They did everything a coach could ask of a football team, and at the end of the year, I really believe they were as fine a football team as there was in the country. They did everything that anybody could be asked to do and did it very well, and I'm very, very proud of them. They've also left us with a great legacy, and we're hopeful that the 1982 team can pick up where the 1981 team left off. It's going to be tough. It's got a tough schedule. We're going to have to replace some really good leaders. Palavecchio and Wisniewski and Frau were 3 of the strongest leaders we've ever had. But I think we have the young people who can do it, and I think it's going to be a very exciting year. But no matter what 82 brings to us, we're never going to forget what these kids did in 81. They were a superb football team, and they set a standard that I think that we're going to have to work awfully hard to measure up to.
Yes, the 1982 squad faced a challenge. The young, skilled players had turned the success of 80 and 81 into an experience of maturity. They were ready to climb to even newer heights. They were ready to open the skies to the thunder of the greatest season in Penn State football history.
Nittany Lion football 1982. Perhaps the most exciting year in Penn State's rich tradition. Penn State's loyal students and fans love the excitement and love their Nittany Lions. 1982. It was a season of celebration. It was a year of destiny.
If there truly was to be destiny in the future of this 1982 squad, it would start with a new-look attack. Some even called it Air Paterno. The offensive line lacked experience, so the Lions opened it up like never before, finding Kenny Jackson, or a pint-sized scrappy possession receiver named Greg Garrity. Even the running backs, like fullback John Williams, became active participants in this passing parade. In the Lions' opening 3 games, the offense produced 119 points. Blackledge, now a 3-year starter, threw 12 touchdowns. And Penn State kicked off its wild run for #1 with easy triumphs over Temple, Maryland, and Rutgers. The excitement continued to mount as the Lions, now ranked number 8 in the country. The undefeated and number 2 ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers were heading for a showdown in Beaver Stadium. And a giant pep rally heard co-captain Ken Kelly talk of Lion confidence.
We know as a team that we're going to beat Nebraska, and we're going to need all the help we can get. It's not that we might beat Nebraska, we're going to beat Nebraska.
Kelly proved to be right, but it was not without its moments of doubt. The passing of Blackledge and the amazing exploits of Kurt Warner, now one of the most feared runners in college football, showed a national television audience the awesome talent of the Penn State team. But a Nebraska squad many had called the best in school history fought back and took the lead 24-21. It was time to test the mettle of a champion.
52 seconds remain. On 4th and 11. No tying field goal attempt. Rather a clutch connection. Blackledge to Jackson. First down. The clock is moving. Blackledge back. Looking. Must scramble. Must get out of bounds. 13 seconds remain. From the 17. A sideliner to Mike McCluskey stops the clock. And from the 2, the winning shoe-top catch by Kirk Bowman. Touchdown. Penn State 27, Nebraska 24, and the celebration is on.
But this was certainly one of the really great wins in Penn State history. It was on national television. It was very dramatic against a very quality football team. And with a team that's fighting for some national recognition right now. And having played that well in the clutch is really very important, and I thought it was very impressive.
As so often happens in college football, the joy of one week turns to disappointment the next. Penn State scored 21 points at Alabama, but the Tide scored 42.
And we just decided that we couldn't lose any more games, that we were still in the thick of things, that we didn't feel that any team in the country was going to go undefeated and win the national championship like Clemson did the year before, and that we were still very much in the picture. So we decided that we were not going to lose any more football games. We were going to take them one at a time. The Syracuse game following was a tough game because we had to win it any way possible. And after that, the ball kind of got rolling again, and we started picking up more confidence.
With confidence came victories. The blue and white responded by routing Syracuse and then rode Scott Radisick's 85-yard interception to a 24-0 shutout of West Virginia. The Lions had reclaimed their momentum and improved their record to 8-1 by scoring 106 points in victories over Boston College and North Carolina State. Paterno's Air Force jumped up to number 4 in the national rankings. Penn State had never won at Notre Dame, but the ghosts of South Bend never had to face a Lion team like this one. Building pride week by week, the defense played superb sideline-to-sideline football, totally draining the fight out of the Irish. Roommates Blackledge and Warner had both stayed at Penn State all summer, lifting weights and running, and the long hours of dedication were paying off. Penn State whipped Notre Dame for victory number 9. Only the battle of Route 22 remained. Old rival Pitt threw its top gun, Dan Marino, at the Lions, but Penn State shot him down quickly and precisely. Names like Kelly, Gattuso, Ashley, Radisick, Harris, Papenrod, Hamilton, Jackson, Robinson, Biondi. All were the guts of this 1982 defense. But this traditional rival would not fall without a fight. A Jackson touchdown handed the Lions a lead, but they did not breathe easy until a late field goal drive. As described by Fran Fisher on the Penn State Radio Network.
This is Williams now, swinging to the left. Gets to the corner, breaks the tackle in midfield. He's in pit territory at the 45, the 40, inside the 35 before he's forced out of bounds. Warner again, wiggling, jumping right, left, has the hole and picks up 5, 6, 7 yards. Hand off to the F-back. Jonathan Williams has a hole and gets the first down. Mike Stillman snaps, Strang sets, Cacetano's kick. It's good!
The fifth come-from-behind victory of 1982 puts special pride in the heart of Joe Paterno.
I don't think we've ever had a group of guys that when they were behind or in tough trouble were able to kind of suck it up and get the thing done despite the odds. They were just a phenomenal group of young people. We're going to really miss them, and we'll never forget them. They just have given us 4 great years of football, and in particular this last season, which is a highlight of their career.
As the remarkable 1982 regular season ended, Penn State ranked number 2 in the national polls. Kurt Warner and Todd Blackledge both finished among the top 10 in the Heisman balloting, while junior safety Mark Robinson and junior receiver Kenny Jackson won first-team All-America honors. This squad, whose seeds were planted 2 years earlier, would now play one more game for every young man's dream: the national championship. Date with destiny would take them to the same city, New Orleans, and the same stadium, the Superdome, where they had come so close in 1978. Newspapers had called Penn State's quest for number 1 a jinx, but this team and its coaching staff knew it had come too far to not complete its assignment.
Over the year, over the preseason, we've come a long ways. And I play with a bunch of great guys. I play with a bunch of guys that have had to just scrap and fight and claw for everything that we've received this year.
Penn State has such a great tradition, and it's going to carry on for years and years. And to be able to say in years to come, I was associated with that national championship team would be something to dream about. And, this is it. It's at our hands right now.
To these young men, the dream was long overdue. On their very first offensive series, the fired-up Lions marched over and around top-ranked Georgia and seized a lead they would never relinquish. Memories had burned stubbornly in their heart. Memories of 3 previous Sugar Bowls in which the Lions had scored a total of 1 touchdown. In just 2 quarters tonight, Kurt Warner would double that figure. Penn State's all-time rushing leader was closing his career in a blaze of glory. But knocking the Bulldogs from their top perch would not be simple. A key to keeping Georgia in check was stopping their top dog, Heisman winner Herschel Walker. With typical Penn State precision, the Lion defense vindicated the popular slogan of the week that read, "Kurt Warner is a runner, but Herschel's just a walker." Unable to run, the Bulldogs tried the pass, also without great success. Early in the final period, the Lions needed to add a little comfort zone in this hard-fought battle for number 1. They got it on a play that will live forever in Lion lore. Greg Garrity stretched across the goal line with a fingertip catch that not only made the cover of Sports Illustrated, but put Penn State on top of the world.
one. Penn State national champion! National champion! Penn State has won the ball game, 27-23. What a tribute to this football team. What a tribute to his coach. And Penn State has done it.
The storybook season was complete. Some called it deliverance. Headlines read Penn State gains Holy Grail. To Lion fans, sugar was never sweeter. For the first time after 96 years of playing collegiate football, Penn State was #1.
The ride back from Harrisburg to State College, the night we came home with this 90-mile parade, literally, with the highways lined with kids and older women and people in fire engines in every little town welcoming us and saying #1. Thousands and thousands of people just beside themselves with joy and excitement and happiness and pride. I keep coming back to the word pride in Penn State and Penn State football and in the state of Pennsylvania. I knew we wanted to be #1, but I never realized just how frustrated our people, our fans, and everybody else were, and that they wanted to be able to just stand up and say, without a doubt, we are #1, and I think it's great for all of us.
In a football program like Penn State's, a national championship isn't simply a memory in a trophy case. It becomes a purpose to go back to work, strive even harder, and do it all over again.
Get better today, men. Gotta get better. Start to think about being a good football team. We're sure not there yet.
In 1983 and 84, as Lions fans asked, what next? Paterno was quietly reinforcing his philosophy, challenging young athletes to excel, and putting together the parts of another Lion ride to the promised land. The post-championship transition at tailback had been incredibly smooth. William Henry D.J. Dozier came up from Virginia Beach and settled into Kurt Warner's old spot. He became the only Lion runner ever to gain more than 1,000 yards his freshman season. At fullback, Paterno discovered 2 was better than 1. With Tim Manoa and Steve Smith, the Lions could unleash a pair of tanks who could run, block, and catch with anyone in the country. At quarterback, Paterno found another do-what-it-takes-to-win type in John Schaefer, a take-charge, fiery leader. Schaefer simply personified his coach on the field. As the offense took shape, some relatively unknown names began to appear on the other side of the football. Young men like Bob White, Tim Johnson, Mike Russo, Trey Bauer, Shane Conlon, Duffy Cobbs, and Ray Isom worked their way up Paterno's depth chart, gaining a reputation as a group that loved to hit. By 1985, the foundation was in place for another run for the Golden Prize. A mid-season battle with perennial power Alabama proved a major confidence builder. The Lions were forced to come from behind, with backup quarterback Matt Kisner filling in for injured John Schaefer. Paterno found a glimmer of something special in the way his young squad refused to give up.
The biggest thing I felt after the Alabama game was, hey, these kids really believe they're good. From now on in, they're going to be tough to stop. The next 5 games, obviously, we're going to be crucial before we play Pitt and Notre Dame. But I really felt that after the Alabama game, these guys knew they could beat a good football team, and they were on their way.
Surprisingly, on their way to a #1 ranking a year earlier than most expected. When the defense held Notre Dame and Pittsburgh, Penn State finished the 1985 regular season 11-0 and #1 in college football. The hopes of a national title evaporated in a devastating loss to Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. But that frustrating setback served a purpose. It stuck in the guts of Paterno's team and gave them a monstrous incentive for 1986.
Well, I remember walking off the field at the Orange Bowl. You know, it didn't sit well that we lost that game with a lot of us. So, you know, we were determined. You know, we got so far, and then we just fell short.
The goal that we had set for ourselves was set the night after the Oklahoma game, and that was to repeat and to go undefeated and to hopefully play for another national championship.
As Penn State celebrated its 100th year of intercollegiate football in 1986, they had to rise from the ashes of that Oklahoma defeat. John Schaefer had drawn criticism for the Orange Bowl loss, but a strong spring practice had ensured his role as starting quarterback. During the initial games of the 1986 season, Paterno's 4-year plan appeared right on schedule. Schaefer was throwing better than ever with help from receivers Ray Roundtree and Eric Hamilton. Dozier's patented spin move found the end zone often. And some big blocks of blue and white named Clayton, Cousy, Radisek, Morgan, and Conlon provided a rugged escort as the Lions pounded out 209 points in their first 6 victories. While Paterno's offense was exciting, his defense was becoming the steadying influence of this squad. Its leader was All-American Shane Conlon, number 31, out of Frewsburg, New York. A fierce take-no-prisoners tackler who would rank among the best in Penn State's magnificent tradition of linebackers. With a perfect 6-0 record, Penn State advanced to number 6 in the polls heading into their first major test of 1986. Alabama was ranked number 2 and owned college football's longest unbeaten streak, until they entertained a Lions squad on a mission that simply would not be interrupted. Tide dreams of becoming number 1 were pushed aside by a Penn State defense that forced 5 quarterback sacks and 5 Tide turnovers. Paterno told reporters after the game, someone would have to play awfully well to beat us the way we're playing right now. When a talented sophomore from Philadelphia named Blair Thomas followed Schaefer's block into the end zone, Penn State handed Alabama its worst home defeat in 31 years. And the Lions replaced the Tide as the second-ranked team in college football. Alabama hadn't been able to score a touchdown against Penn State's intimidating defense. And now neither could West Virginia. For the 3rd straight game, blue and white defenders were perfect at guarding their end zone. Now 8-0 with an eye on the top spot. Joe Paterno's squad again called on its defense to rescue them from the first of 2 close calls. 265-pound Pete Kirkendall rumbled 82 yards with an interception against Maryland. And all his teammates wondered why he allowed an offensive lineman to catch him from behind. Nobody caught Dozier. who blasted into the end zone twice. But the scrappy Terps battled back to come within a 2-point conversion of ruining the Lions' perfect season.
We had called timeout, and Jerry Sandusky made a great call. He said, this is what they're going to do. They're going to sprint out, and they're going to try to throw an out. That's exactly what they did.
So as far as the defense, we all got together and we vowed that we would play that play, if no other play, as hard as possible. It happens that they did run the pick play, and they first looked inside, and I was there, and a couple other linebackers were there, and they threw the ball outside. And Duffy Cowles made just a tremendous play, and he played it the best he possibly could and stopped it.
One challenge answered, but another loomed just ahead. Penn State Notre Dame, always one of college football's wonderful wars. The pressure was immense for the Lions to reach deep inside for the desire and determination to remain unbeaten. The defense ultimately saved the victory when Notre Dame threatened to win in the dying moments. The Irish battled to first and goal at the Penn State 6.
It's one of those situations where, Notre Dame had kept the heat on us all day, and they were playing really well. And we could see our whole season going down the drain. And they had our backs against the wall. But I think through the minds of a lot of the players, it kind of took us back to a certain thing that Coach Paterno always told us. And he says, anything that you really have to scratch for, that you don't surrender it very easily. And I think right at that particular time, it was so close to the end of the season, and we had a perfect record, and we had worked so hard to get there that I don't think, myself and I don't think the rest of the guys were willing to give it up.
Here's how a national TV audience saw those final 4 never-to-be-forgotten plays.
Outside, option Brown, brought down, loss on the play to the 9. Isom, number 22. Berline is sacked back at the 20-yard line by Bob White. Berline back. Protection's pretty good. Down the middle, Williams, the tight end, on a post and didn't get it. Had it on his hands in front of Gary Wilkerson. Pass thrown underneath, and Mark Green slips and goes down at the 13-yard line, and Penn State has turned them away.
I don't think there's ever a time when you really think about losing. And I think the one thing that has helped us, going undefeated last year and being undefeated up to that game, snowball effect. You win a few and you just don't think any other way but that way. So I think that the guys felt that we were going to do it.
This never-give-up Penn State squad manhandled Pitt 34-14 for its 22nd consecutive regular season triumph. The victory was a special tribute to 16 seniors who had elected to return for a 5th year with a sincere belief they could climb to the top. They would have their opportunity against top-ranked Miami in the Fiesta Bowl.
Here we come, Miami!
For the 3rd time in the decade, the Lions went bowling with an opportunity to finish number 1. The biggest question seemed to be whether Paterno's defense could contain Heisman Trophy winner Vinny Testaverde and a high-scoring Miami offense. Ever since the Orange Bowl loss a year earlier, these young men had dedicated their every thought to this moment. As one player told the press, "Last year we knocked on the door. This year we're kicking it in." The Fiesta Bowl was switched to evening hours for primetime television and became the most publicized and talked about college football game in history. Lion fans showed their tremendous loyalty with an Arizona pep rally that roared with enthusiasm.
It's really fantastic. I've never been to a rally like this with as much as enthusiasm or as many people. And God bless you for coming out and help cheer on the greatest bunch of kids I have ever been associated with.
I kind of wish that I was in the playoffs right now, but I'll settle for this, I'll tell you.
We're ready to share that distinction as being the only team to win a national championship with Penn State, and we want to share it with these guys tomorrow night. So we'll be there, and we'll be wearing blue and white.
This is what you come to the college, big-time college football for, and a national championship in your senior year would definitely top off a great career.
The men who carried the banner in '82 joined the heroes of '86, as together they could appreciate the importance of this second golden opportunity for Penn State. The tone of the game was set early when Penn State's defense decided to punish Hurricane receivers. One play, this smash by Ray Isom on Michael Irvin, put fear in Miami's heart. After that hit, said Duffy Cobbs, you could see their receivers look the other way before catching the ball. Confused and frustrated, Testaverde simply couldn't deal with Penn State's attacking zone defense. Miami receivers would drop 7 passes, and Testaverde would throw an incredible 5 interceptions. Paterno called it as fine a defensive effort as he had ever seen. But this Miami team that averaged more than 38 points a game would not be quiet forever. And in the final period, Penn State trailed 10-7. It was here that Shane Conlon stopped Miami momentum with his second interception of the night. And DJ Dozier put the Lions in the driver's seat with a 6-yard run. The score was 14-10 Penn State, and Miami needed a touchdown to spoil the Lions' ride to the top. With time running out, Tim Johnson nearly removed Testaverde's head.
4th down, national championship. Intercepted, Giftopoulos.
Nittany Lions climaxed another climb to the summit, just 4 years after the first.
The Penn State Nittany Lions are the national champions.
As in 1982, Pennsylvania welcomed home its national champions, a squad that had been 23-1 over 2 years, and now savored the pride of being the best in college football. Two tremendous triumphs against number 1 ranked teams resulted in those long-awaited national titles. Paterno's defense had turned the invincible Herschel Walker into a mere mortal and played with the mind to control the arm of Vinny Testaverde. Both Heisman winners were deflated, and both Georgia and Miami's number 1s were confiscated by Penn State. As the 1980s whirled to a close, Blair Thomas took over the mantle worn so well by Warner and Dozier. Thomas fought back from a knee injury that sidelined him for a year to become one of the most popular and talented Lion tailbacks ever. The tradition of linebacker U was enriched by Andre Collins, number 31. Collins came to Penn State from New Jersey as a safety, switched to linebacker, and became the only Lion of the decade to have back-to-back 100 tackle seasons. Several days before the decade ended, Penn State played its wildest, wackiest bowl game ever. Paterno's lively Lions got involved in a 50-39 shootout with an aerial circus from Brigham Young in the 1989 Holiday Bowl. 81 passes were thrown, but none were caught any better than this astounding tumbling grab by David Daniels. It ranked as one of the most remarkable catches in the history of Penn State football. The Lions were saying goodbye to the greatest decade in their history, with the craziest game in their history. So much contributed to the glowing success of the 1980s. Overall, Penn State won 89 games during the decade, appeared in 8 bowl games, winning 6 of them, and finished ranked among the top 3 teams in the country 4 different seasons. Joe Paterno gained his 4th National Coach of the Year award and was honored as the only football coach ever to be named Sports Illustrated's Man of the Year. He became college football's winningest active coach, but undoubtedly was just as proud of this accomplishment. By the end of the 80s, he had produced 19 first-team academic All-Americans, 10 Hall of Fame scholar athletes, and 14 NCAA postgraduate scholarship winners. Paterno had brought a special philosophy of winning to Penn State. His teams rose to the top to become the most successful and admired program in all of college football during that magical decade. Who knows what the 90s will bring, as the Lions become an active member of the prestigious Big Ten Conference. But as long as they sing Hail to the Lion, pull on those nameless blue and white uniforms, and storm into a jammed Beaver Stadium, the 1980s will stand the test of time, to be forever remembered as Penn State's championship years.